Good morning, good afternoon. We are going to look at characterizations today. We tried to yesterday, um, but today we are for real. And these characterizations are going to be indirect. So that means we're going to have to read between the lines of what the characters are saying, thinking, doing, what they're looking like, and the effect they're having on others. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to remember how we do an indirect characterization. So we've got Steele here, or if you know Trey Songz, Mr. Steal Your Girl. He is a hip-hop R&B singer from my time, early 2000s. So we're going to start with what a character says. How can we find out a character trait about them based on what they say? Don't cut her, Naylor said. We can't make a lucky strike like this. It would be like Sloth was with me. So based on what he's saying here, I can tell a lot about Naylor. I can tell he remembers that he was not too fond of trying to be killed by Sloth. And this is showing that he's putting himself in the swank girl's shoes because he doesn't want to have what to happen to her, what he didn't want to have happen to him. So if I can go to my character traits list, I'm looking for something where somebody's kind of feeling for someone, somebody's putting themselves in someone else's shoes. And look, the pictures should be able to help me here. What do I see here? Bam, I see someone helping someone up here. Let's look. Is it apathetic? You show no emotion or feelings? Well, no, he said, don't cut her. We can't make a lucky strike like this. So he's definitely showing some feelings. I'm seeing more empathetic, showing emotions towards others. Path is the Greek root word meaning suffering or pain or feeling. So he's feeling with the swank girl. So if I go back to this shows Naylor is empathetic because he's putting himself in her shoes and he's feeling for her. And then you've got your little joke over here. This person says you're running low on empathy. This person says, who cares what you think? That's what someone who's empathetic or not empathetic would say. All right, let's go to our next one, thoughts. If he was honest with himself, Naylor could admit he had no idea what he was doing. He was making it up as he went along, some new version of a future, and all he really knew was that this strange swank girl needed to be a part of it. So he's the only one we're going to get thoughts from in the book. I don't think we're going to get anyone else's thoughts, since it's mostly from his perspective. Making it up as he went along, didn't really know what he was doing. Kind of like this old granny going to the store. She doesn't really need that $200 pair of Jordans, but she looks like she might get it. Let's see what character trait might have somebody doing something like quickly without thinking. I see this person making a decision here. They've got an angel and a devil on their shoulder, being impulsive, like a pulse. They were reacting to the pulse. They're not stopping and thinking. Acting or done without forethought. So, yeah, this shows Naylor is impulsive because he's making this decision about saving the swank girl without really balancing out the consequences and the pros and cons. A lot of people, I just picked this because a lot of people do what's called impulse buys, where they buy something quickly without thinking about it. My tip to you is to leave items in your shopping cart for as long as possible before buying them to make sure it's not an impulse buy. All right, let's go to E, our effect on others. This one's probably the toughest. Talking about Naylor's dad, Richard Sanchez here. His dad took the bottle from Naylor's hand and checked the level of liquor. Didn't leave much for your old man, he complained. But he cracked the screw and sniffed the contents. Naylor waited, praying for luck. He looks like he's so afraid his dad's going to be upset that he didn't leave enough of his liquor. Like Naylor got this as a luck offering from some of the people on the beach. And now he's worried that he didn't leave enough for his dad, and he's praying for luck. So what we're seeing here is Richard Sanchez is having a pretty big effect on Naylor. He's afraid his dad's going to get mad very quickly. So I'm looking for something which shows someone maybe getting mad pretty quickly. Here we go. Irritable, easily annoyed or made angry. So showed Richard Sanchez is irritable because his effect on Naylor has Naylor praying that he doesn't get mad over this small thing. And here in our little picture, you've got a brain saying, I get irritable too sometimes, to our one and only, the bowel, because there's a horrible illness you can get called irritable bowel syndrome, where you eat something spicy and you have an emergency right away. Yeah, little irritable joke there. All right, let's go to our second to last one. Actions. The girl's eyes went to him, starving for salvation, but she didn't speak again, only stared. Now, hopefully you know that this is Nita, or I guess we'll find out her name soon. Swank girl. She really, really wants to be freed. Salvation, like breaking free. And what she's doing here, she can't even speak. We don't know how long she's been trapped under the furniture. But she's doing whatever she can with her eyes to try and signal to this guy to try and get some empathy. You see, basically, she's not giving up. You see, this guy gave up right before he got to the gold. We have a really good character trait we talk about. We've got somebody really like pushing through adversity and not giving up. We call that perseverant. Continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties. So we're seeing her being perseverant here based on the way that she's like just using whatever she has left, her eyes, to try and survive. There's a book where a guy is about to die on a beach. It's called Touching Spirit Bear, I think. And a little mouse crawls near him. And he has to like find a way to eat the mouse so he can get some calories and get some energy. That's like the most perseverant thing. Or if you've ever heard of the movie 127 Hours, the guy has to saw his own arm off when he gets stuck in like a rock while he's hiking by himself. Tough situations. That's when you got to be perseverant. All right, last one, looks. He rich? Pima asked. Swank like you? Naylor shot her an annoyed glance. So based on, if I wanted to do an S for this one, based on what Pima's saying, she's kind of being superficial, focusing on the fact that she's a swank, being rich, not really caring about her as a person. But in the opposite of that, we have Naylor getting annoyed by her with this. So this is maybe showing Naylor is not superficial, or maybe the opposite of that might be deep, or as we see here in this little cartoon, compassionate. This person's yelling at this dog, this support dog. You're not allowed to have compassion fatigue, which is funny because that's something usually only humans say they get when they help people too much. I don't think dogs get compassion fatigue, but I'm definitely seeing Naylor be compassionate here. Let me see if I can find compassionate and see if it makes sense. Feeling or showing sympathy and concern. Yeah, similar to empathy here, I'd say, but compassionate in the sense that he's not just seeing her as a swank. He's trying to like see her as an individual and see what he needs to do for her. So that was our indirect characterization. This is basically how we find out things about a character by thinking a little deeper, seeing what they say, think, their effect on others, their actions, their looks tell us about them. Because again, this author's not just going to come out and say this person's humble, this person's radical, this person's arrogant, this person's impulsive, this person's manipulative. We're going to have to read between the lines and do that work ourselves. All right, that is all.